Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're not disturbed by a panting sound in the background. I've just had the dogs out for a walk, so I'm sweating like a whore in church, and me obese Labrador is gasping for breath in the other room. Anyway, I wanted to take you through a game that I played with my student Rayan in a lesson yesterday. Really interesting, very useful, and for anyone who's around this rating, so I think he's around the 1100 mark rapid. Yeah, here we go, 1100. Now, since our last lesson, he was actually coming into this lesson off the back of a 10-game losing streak, which really sucks. And what's worse, he's got a tournament coming up this weekend, and an over-the-board tournament, I think probably 15 plus 10 format. So the guy needed some confidence. So we decided that we were going to slow it right down and play a bot game. And also, because he was asking me about positional chess and positional kind of concepts. So my idea going into this game is that we would focus on that. And we decided to take on the Jade bot. We got the black pieces and zip dit diddly bit, here we go. Right, so we have e4. Now Ryan's playing the Scandi right now. And I suggested to him that he try out the modern Scandi, which is less known by white players. So, which he's been studying and making his own chess studies, and great. So we have e takes d5, and then this is the modern variation of the Scandinavian. So knight f6. You do not capture the pawn straight away with a queen, because white is expecting that. Okay, and there are some very interesting things that can happen. For example, after the move pawn c4. We can go into something called the the Icelandic gambit, or the Icelandic palm gambit. And that's what we do with the move e6. Now, the idea here is that if white takes, you recapture with your bishop. Okay, so we've still given up one pawn. White is without an e-pawn. We would be without either d or e. And remember this, because it's going to come in... I don't know. It's gonna come back to haunt you later on. Okay, but that's the idea. Oi, Zara, give over. And she's full of little grass seeds. And go on, out. No, the boys and girls want chess. They don't want to listen to you cleaning your arse. Go on, off. Go on. Thank you. Okay, the Icelandic palm gambit. So we're leaving ourselves one pawn down. But getting some good attacking chances. And this is actually quite a common move from white. If you go back on my channel, I've got quite a lot of games in this line, because I used to play it. The best move from white actually on the previous move is actually just d4. As it is in many of these gambit lines. Just pretend that isn't there, right? Make your opponent spend another move capturing it. But anyway, we have this. We offer the Icelandic gambit. And white now declines with the move queen b3. And already at this point now I'm out of theory. So we have to resort to principles and calculation. Alright, so we had a couple of ideas here. And one of them was that we have three attackers on this pawn. So we can just win back the pawn. So if takes, queen takes, maybe, and if the queens trade that, right? Our other idea, which is the one that we played, and wasn't the most accurate, right? But it's the one we played, was the idea of playing queen e7 with the threat of a discovered check after we capture here. And if they take, we take with the bishop, we noticed that we would hang this pawn on b7, but then bishop b5 would win the queen. So so the queen can't take on b7. So we're just setting a couple of traps here for white, into which white failed to fall, because they blocked the discovery with queen e2. And now what I'm having Ryan do constantly throughout this game is to take stock of the situation, reassess what's going on the board. So what's changed on the board? Why did my opponent play that move? And what is my opponent's idea or plan? So what's interesting about this bishop move is it makes this no longer a discovered check, right? However, pretending this pawn isn't there, let's say we'd given check and then they do this with the bishop. Whenever you block a check with the pawn, what are you doing? Sorry, with a piece, what are you doing to the piece? You pin the piece. The piece pins itself by blocking a check, which you can't do against a king check. There's no such thing as a king check. Pawn check or a knight check, right? You can't block a pawn or a knight check for obvious reasons. Okay, so what we realized was that if we were to take this pawn, this bishop now is pinned itself. And then we're saying, okay, Ryan, what is White's plan? What does White want to do, right? Well, White, we're in the opening phase. Well, obviously White wants to get his king to safety. So how's he going to do it? Well, he wants to develop his knight. Okay, and then he castles. But if there's no pawn here, right? Currently, this bishop is defended by knight and king, right? Let's say this pawn isn't there. He brings out his knight, he castles. Who's defending the bishop now? No one. There's no one at home to defend the bishop. So we capture here, because we figure we can do it. They capture back. And now, what would you play? We can't take the pawn because queen takes. Okay. We had this idea of playing another kind of gambity style move that you get in quite a few. Kadash Gambit, Geertz Peters Gambit, loads of them. In the Black Mardima, I think you play this move. You know, this move of bringing the pawn forward, offering it up. It's not the most accurate move, but it's what we play. With the idea that if they take, we take back with a knight, and again we get quick development, right? White now plays this, offering to trade queens, which is a pawn up, so that kind of makes sense, but not a pawn up for blooming long because she's left this pawn completely undefended now. So dubious move there, and we play the obvious knight takes d5. Not only does it defend our queen a third time, but it also attacks White's queen. Do we get a trade of queens? No. We have a blunder. And to his... Oi! What are you doing back here? Get out! Told you, nobody likes it. Go on. Yeah, blunders. Now, I said to Ryan, on Saturday, your opponent's out there will be blunders. Blunders will occur, right? You've got to be ready for them. So to his credit, he checked it out. 15, 20 seconds. Looks safe. There's no trap here. We take the queen. Okay? Fair enough. People hang queens. I might have done it myself once or twice recently. Okay? They take back now with the f pawn. And again, this is another point, right? You know, blood has been shed. There's bodies lying around. You have to reevaluate what's going on the board. I immediately said to Ryan I wasn't impressed with that move. I thought he should have recaptured with d. And so I had him kind of take stock of the situation. This is really, really interesting. So first of all, please evaluate White's side. Okay, so we've got all the minor pieces are on the board. Both rooks are on the board. The queens are off. This bishop is very bad because it's still blocked in by both pawns. This bishop doesn't have great prospects down here, but does have... It's one of White's better pieces. This knight is okay. This knight is undeveloped. Okay, so White is pretty much undeveloped. And then I said, well, you haven't mentioned anything about pawns, because I think this is a player who focuses much more on pieces and tactics rather than pawns and structure. So that's something to work on. Well, what about pawns? He says, well, okay, we've got these pawns here. And okay, so 3 pawn islands is the key. Why are 3 pawn islands worse than 2 pawn islands? Again, going back to this, so Jade should have captured with the e pawn, the d pawn, rather than the f pawn. So here, each of these pawn islands can never meet another one, right? So these pawns are stuck operating as a pair, as are these, as are these. What that means is that at any point, one of them can defend another one, doesn't matter which way around, but one of them is always going to be at the back. And the one at the back, therefore, cannot be defended by a pawn. Now, in theory, you could have a massive chain of pawns, up to 7, right? Stretching across the board. Each one defending each other, apart from this one would obviously have been promoted. But, you know, when you've got a pawn chain, 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4 pawns, very often, then the rear, all the pawns are defended apart from the one at the back. The rearmost pawn, which must be defended, if it is going to be defended, must be defended therefore by a piece. It stands to reason, it's logic. So, in an endgame, I explained, white is going to have an issue because he's going to have at least 3 rearmost pawns. And that is going to require defense by pieces. Right? And then we said, okay, well, let's evaluate black's position. And he said, well, black is almost completely undeveloped. Well, what about pawn structure? Okay, pawn structure is, in a way, better because we have 2 3s, 2 trios of pawns, not bad thing. Okay, and then I remembered something that I really got from a Naroditsky speedrun video recently, which is, he said that when you've got yourself a winning position, you're 2 pawns up, you're a piece up, whatever, just don't get tempted to lash out and try and deliver the quickest win possible, right? Do not neglect your basics, do not neglect the fundamentals, go ahead and castle, right? Now, other thing that Rayan figured out from the white perspective, which I thought was really, really good, is that he said, if this bishop is going to come into the board, it probably isn't going to come out on this diagonal because there's 2 pawns that have to move, right? So that, if it does, it's going to be real, real slow, right? Now this one, this is the other, bishops have 2 diagonals at the start of the game, right? 2 ways out into the board, either via a central pawn or via the knight's pawn, the fianchetto pawn, right? So if they're going to do this, then they push the pawn, they fianchetto the bishop, more than likely, because the bishop can't go there, right? If we've got queen or bishop there, it's just going to get gobbled up. So this is probably white's idea, we thought. And then we said, well, what's black's priority? What is critical for black? And Rayan wanted to play queen h4 check. To which my response is, well, g3, and the point is you cannot win a game with the queen alone, right? She might be strong and powerful, but she's still only a girl, and she can't beat the opposition army all on her own. She needs backup. Okay, so what are we supposed to be doing here? What phase of the game are we in? Well, we're still in the... Yes, we've won our opponent's queen, but we're still in the damn opening. So we want to develop our pieces. Okay, so we thought about bringing the knight out, or maybe we should bring the bishop out first, or stuff like that, okay? But I said, look, let's go back to this. Right, number 1, we want to develop. Okay, this is a theme right now at this point in the game. We want to develop our pieces. One of white's worst pieces is this, and we don't think it's coming this way. We think if it's going anywhere, it's going to come to the b2 square. Okay, so combine those 2 bits of information, and what do you get? What you get is, let's fianchetto our bishop first, because if you count the moves, it's us to play, they do this, we do that, and then actually his hopes of fianchettoing that bishop are flummoxed, really, and so that's like figuring out what your opponent should do and then preventing him from doing it, which means he's going to have to go to plan B, right? So that's not a bad thing to say. I see what you might want to do next, even if you don't see it. I see what you might want to do. I'm going to shut the door on that idea, so you're going to have to find something else, Sonny Jim. Okay, so what does white do? Brings out a knight. Okay, we fianchetto, right? And look at this, there's nothing clever at all going on from this point, right? I actually thought that what Rayan interpreted with what white's going to have to do with that dark squared bishop was really smart. And then you take that, you combine it with, well, look, we are undeveloped, right? The queen can't do the job on her own, right? We castle. They bring out their bishop. Okay. Bishop e6, right? We're up material, we're up 6 materials. We're up a queen for a knight. Okay, trades are good for us. Does Jade want to trade? No, she doesn't. Okay, retreats. What do we do now? Knight d7. Develop. Jade plays d4. Bishop g4, hitting both knight and bishop. Okay, and the rest of the game doesn't last that long. They kick. Okay, we say, well, happy to trade, thank you very much. Rook takes. And then this is another really key point. So yeah, so Rayan said, well, this looks like a good idea, kind of targeting this, because he thinks tactically. His go-to is tactical thinking. To which my point is, okay, let's revisit the pawn structure again. Okay, let's colour in our pawns. Black's pawns here, right? White's pawns, put them in orange. It's a very pleasant colour of yellow-orange, that, okay? Right, what does that tell us? What does it tell us about the D and E files? The D and E files are semi-open files. There are no black pawns on those files. There are white pawns on those files. Okay. Who likes open files and semi-open files the best? Ricky and Rocky, the rooks. Yeah? So I said, no. You don't play rook AE8. What we want to do is we want to centralize both rooks on the two semi-open files, right? This is positional. Right? This is not a tactical idea. This is, we are lining everything up in the right way. Like they always used to say, a famous quote, I can't remember who said it, about playing Karpov. It says, when you play Karpov, nothing happens, then you lose. Karpov just played so tight, right? So correctly, and just lined everything up. And then you make one little slip up and it's bang and it's over. Anyway, so rook AD8. Jade pushes a pawn, rook FE8. Nothing clever going on. What we're doing is we are... my current favourite phrase that I made up about chess, what to do, keep not making mistakes. Right? The longer you can keep not making mistakes, the more likely you are to win. So, here we are, busy not making mistakes. Okay, Jade pushes a pawn. It's defended by the knight. All right, so that undefends the d4 pawn. With check, we grab the knight, they take, this pawn now hangs, this bishop now hangs. Yeah, bishop out here attacking our rook, we think sod it, push the pawn. Yeah, we could lose the pawn. Bishop takes, rook takes knight, doesn't matter. That's a fair price for a pawn. Means we get one of White's 3 active pieces off the board. Okay, she's not into that idea. We now bring in our knight. Now she takes the pawn. We take the rook. Checkmate. Right? Follow me to the game review. 91.9 accuracy from us. And when you strip off Rayan's 1100 rating, no. Sorry, with Rayan's rating on, it's 1800 now. But if I take this all without all that gubbins at the top, right, get rid of the gubbins, go to just clean analysis board. So, and this is why I think it's unfair. 1800, right? Said it's an 1800 game because Rayan played it. But if it doesn't know who played it, it's still going to be 91.4 accuracy, 91.9, 2150. Bosh. And what's more, we never got out the opening. You know? Yeah, your opponent blundered, but opponents are going to blunder. It happens. Happens to the best of us, you know? So, username Rayan Rocks, I agree. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. It's you can be blessed with great tactical vision. You know, I've known lots of people with great tactical vision. Christina's always had, you know, fantastic. I mean, she blows my mind. And I started out giving Christina lessons at the start of it. You know, she's now, I think she's reached 1700 rapid. One of my students, Rose, a junior, fantastic, absolutely amazing. She sees tactics like that, right? Rayan as well sees tactics of like ninja tactics. But that's only going to take you so far, guys. That's the point, right? I mean, what did we do in this game? Let's just we'll whiz over it again, right? Nothing spectacular. This is standard theory. This was, I think, our inaccuracy, right? Because it wanted us to recapture the material. Because you know what the fish is like, very materialistic. Money, money, money. That's all it thinks about. Okay. We see an opportunity. He didn't care for this too much. I think this move as well. We can check it on the engine. That blunder, right? And from then on, what are we doing? What is this? Fianchetto the bishop, right? Castles. Develops. Try and trade pieces. Develop. Try and trade pieces. Trade pieces. Centralize the rooks. Don't forget this. The cherry on the cake of development, right? The rooks seeing each other. Yes, technically you've completed development, but particularly if you've got open files, semi-open files in the middle, centralize the damn rooks. We've got 2 semi-open files. Nothing clever, right? Opponent hangs a pawn. Is it safe to take? Take it. And this is the 1300 rated bot. Trade off. Free stuff. Free stuff. Right? Yeah. That is 2150 play. Can you believe it? And Ryan's sitting there at the end of the game going 2150. So if I play like that, you're telling me I can play 2150, and I do. We just played a 2150 game between us. Right? And there's a huge lesson there for all of us, which is that we are capable of playing at that level, and it isn't that complicated, right? The main things that hold most of us back are the silly mistakes and the blunders. But I think what was really key for me in this game was when we got to this point, right? When we've won the opponent's queen, right? This I think is the key point for me. This is move 9, okay? And you know, a student wanted to start throwing checks around. Well, that's just doing like a telegraph punch that your opponent can block very easily, right? No, this is absolutely not the point. So let's quickly look at the review and see what the computer thinks. Now, I'm going to flip the board, obviously, because we're the other way around. So C4 is a book move. It's not the best. Last book move. And this is a mistake because it says now we can recapture the pawn. Yes, we've got 3 attackers. Okay, and yes, we get a knight out on the board. And that was actually Ryan's suggestion, but oops. But I threw in this idea. So, you know, it's nearly a pawn difference. And that's good. And then we takey. Didn't love this move. It said a better one. Throw the queen in, attack the undefended g2 pawn. And this is obviously a blunder, and that 100% was the best move. And they blunder, okay? Now, it's like -6 for black. This is excellent, but not the best. Best was d takes, right? Yes, this one follows principles, so you're capturing towards the center, but you're creating 3 pawn islands instead of 2. This is much better. Anyway, so he does this, she does this, right? Fianchettoing the bishop, best move, -6.12. Castles, best move, still -6.12. After this, excellent. Best move. Excellent, right? Best move. Excellent. Centering the rooks on the semi-open files. This is a positional consideration. Great move from them, excellent from us. This is all excellent, right? Best. You hang a pawn, I'll take it with check. Thank you very much. Excellent. Most excellent. Excellent. You know, it's like just well-considered moves and not complicated. Okay, and that's inaccurate because they hit our rook. We take their rook. They haven't really got time. And then Ryan saw the mate in 2. So there you go. And 1200 there from Jade. 2150 from us. But fascinating stuff. And also, it's amazing how teaching is the best way to learn something as well, I think. Because when I do games like this, like bot games or whatever, in lessons, it forces me to play in a far more principled way than I normally do, and I normally even do on videos as well. So yeah, I thought that's absolutely fascinating. But for me to take that away, so I'm capable of playing a 2150 game in Rapid as well. Very, very good. So one thing that I want to get out of this is that I want you to take away the idea that learning the principles, following the principles, and applying those basic thought processes. Why did my opponent do that? What's changed on the board? What's their idea? Right? Will take you to the next level. But my main purpose of this is, Ryan, you do rock. And on Saturday, go out and kill them. Enjoy yourself. Kill them. Play like this and you will destroy the field. Okay, good luck, my friend. Take care. Thank you everyone else for watching, and I'll see you soon.